Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6 sense for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys, cause I break the chains. They try to hold me, I'ma push back, just wait until you're free.
99% of the people in this world want to be great. Would you agree with that? Yeah, they're called wannabes. 1% work to be great. Drop the mic on that.
Yeah, I didn't sign any mustard bottles or golf balls. Maybe wish I had had a golf ball that night, you know what I mean? But I'm only kidding. All right.
There on the field, the pride of the Southland band crisply marches into the Giant T. The rear, the roar of 97,000 fans rises with each rhythmic step. In the background, George Beatsis is singing "Fight, Balls, Fight." The orange and white Shakers flood the air. The Volunteers are ready at the north end of the football field to burst through the gate. They're coming now, racing onto the field through the Giant T. In that magic moment that says, wherever you are, it's football time in Tennessee.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. It's the morning show. Starting to really enjoy this. I enjoy getting up, getting some stuff together, and jumping on here and talking a little Vol football with you guys. It's Pitt week. Some people say the season starts now. It's for real. How much value is on this Pitt game? Some people out there calling it a must-win game. I definitely think if Tennessee wants to get to 8 to 9 wins, I don't like to necessarily use the terms must win, but it sure does feel like this one is important on Saturday afternoon. Going on the road to take on Pitt. Tennessee opens up as the favorite, 6.5-point favorite over Pitt. What does that mean? We'll get into it and talk about it. But you don't just go on the road and get favored by almost a touchdown without reason. Are there some injuries out there for Pitt? You know, a couple of their players walked off the field last week against West Virginia. We'll talk about all that and more. We'll take a listen to what Josh Heupel had to say yesterday when he met with the media. Update on Juwan Mitchell, maybe kinda. Maybe a little coach speak. We'll talk about it all today. Going to have a jam-packed, fun show. Looking forward to hanging out with you guys. DS4570 is in the chat. Says, good morning, my Vols family. Good to see you in the chat, buddy. Aaron Duck is here. Says, Pitt wants this orange smoke. You won by 7 last year. Hendon didn't start, but you started an NFL quarterback who's no longer there, and you lost your best wide receiver. We still got ours. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. You know, that's kind of been the storyline leading up to this game is who they are trying to replace at Pitt. We'll talk about it. Tim Bradley in the house. What's up, Tim? Smash that mustard button, y'all. Smash that mustard button. Brad is here. What's up, Brad? Good to see you in the chat. Volunteered 77 is in the house. Philip Miller, Morning Balls from Chattanooga. Good to have you in the chat. Billy Napier's in the house. Appreciate you being here, Billy Napier. Congratulations on your win. Looking forward to competing against you later in the month. Says Talkin VAWLS, best YouTube channel. Best channel on YouTube. I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words. I got a $10 super chat here from John Hill. Thank you, John. It's time to go to Pitt and kick some butt. Would be great to win bigly. LOL. John, is that a word? Is bigly a word? I think that might be why you're laughing at yourself. Bigly. Win bigly. I'll take it. Let's go win bigly on the road. Go Big Orange. Appreciate that super chat. John's always dropping in here right at the beginning of the stream, dropping a tip in the tip jar, almost like he's going to his favorite restaurant and he knows they're going to deliver, so he just leaves the tip up front. Crazy Nugs for 5. Thank you for the super chat. Booty Boutte, how do you say his name? I never know that. Once out of LSU, would he fit in at Tennessee? How about that, man? I've not had a chance to go back and watch that LSU game yet. I've not been able to watch it. I saw the end. I saw what went down. And Brian Kelly immediately goes to the media, starts throwing players under the bus. Supposedly his wide receiver had a shouting match with Brian Kelly. And the next thing you know, he is wanting out and entering the transfer portal. I've not seen it confirmed whether or not he has officially entered the portal or not. But I don't know, Crazy Nugs. I kind of question a guy. Always ask, why are they in the portal? I question a guy that's entering the portal after 1 week of the season. Regardless, if there's heat there with him and Brian Kelly, still, you got to question a guy that's wanting to enter the portal after just 1 week into the season. A lot of people starting to flood into the chat here. Marcus Rush is in the house. What's up, Marcus? Good to see you. Patrick Arwood also here, predicting a blowout this Saturday. You would love to see it. I'll get into a little bit of prediction. We'll break down Pitt here in just a little bit. We've got 150 people hanging out live already, just a few minutes into the show. Do me a favor. You guys know what to do. Smash the thumbs up. Just destroy that thumbs up right below the video. Quick, free, easy. I would greatly appreciate it if you want to go a step further. Hit that share button. Send it out to Twitter. Send it out to Facebook, Instagram. Call up your uncle. Let him know we're live. I would greatly appreciate it. There's strength in numbers. You guys have a voice. And word of mouth is the best way to grow this thing. So I appreciate you hanging out with me on this Tuesday morning. I saw some of you in the chat talking about this. Tennessee having a little heat here with Pitt heading into the game. Jimmy Himes tweets out, Tennessee fans apparently didn't buy any of the Pitt ticket allotment since Pitt only offered seats in the 500 level, which Tennessee refused after the UT allotment allotted 2,200 to Pitt in the lower level last year. UT did get over 400 tickets in Section 101, but that is primarily for the band. So Pitt, the allotment for Tennessee fans, up in the nosebleeds, no lower level seats. What do you guys think about this? I don't really know what to think about it. I don't really think it's going to matter because I know, just scrolling through VolQuest. Scrolling through VolQuest is eye-opening how many people are going to be at this football game. There are going to be a ton of Tennessee fans. Look, it's why every postseason, if Tennessee makes it to a bowl game, they're a popular team because we travel. We show up in numbers. We always show up. Bowl games, SEC championship appearances. Anytime Tennessee is competitive, anytime Tennessee is on the road, Vol Nation is going to show up. So that stadium is still going to be packed. I see a lot of people on VolQuest fighting, saying wear orange, don't wear black, don't wear black dark mode, don't wear gray, don't wear orange. Let them know that we're taking over their stadium. So the fact that Pitt's not going to allot tickets to the lower level, and this is probably something that happened, a while back, but it's just now coming out. It's just now becoming a thing because of Jimmy Himes tweeting it out. I don't really put too much into it. I don't really care too much about it. I'm more excited about the fact that Tennessee's favored by 6.5. And again, this is a game that a lot of you guys in the chat were scared of. Talking about these games in the offseason, talking about our predictions, what games is Tennessee going to win, what games are they going to be competitive, what's a toss-up. I've been saying it for a while. I just feel good about this matchup. And again, it's partially because of Kenny Pickett being off to the NFL, Jordan Addison transferring to USC. I really like, after watching the Pitt West Virginia game, I like Tennessee's outside wide receivers. I like Cedric Tillman, Brew McCoy to have a field day. Have an absolute field day on 50-50 balls, deep balls. I think we're going to be able to exploit the secondary. Now, they've got a really good defense. We'll break that down and get into it. Their front seven, really, really good, especially their defensive line, one of the best in the country. You're going to have to keep Hendon Hooker's jersey clean to have an opportunity to beat Pitt. But we saw it last year. That defensive line was there last year. That defensive line was good last year. And we saw what Josh Heupel drew up. We saw the schemes. We saw guys running wide open down the field. Joe Milton just did not connect. For whatever reason, Joe Milton struggled with that deep ball. Enter Hendon Hooker. The game kind of changes. The momentum shifts. A lot of us, myself included, believe that if Hendon Hooker had played that entire game last year, that Tennessee, hands down, walks away, just destroys Pitt. Should have had a huge lead early. And then that kind of changes the momentum of the game once you pick up that big lead. But ifs, ands, buts don't really matter. Pat Narduzzi met with the media yesterday. They kind of asked him about being the underdog. And it's not just the reason I'm harping on this line. It's not like Tennessee is a 1-point favorite, 1.5 favorite. We're talking about a touchdown on the road, a touchdown favorite. That is a big, big spread going on the road. Let's hear what Pat Narduzzi had to say about being the underdog and the little guy as Tennessee comes to town.
Block out the outside noise, but you guys are an underdog at home against a team you beat last year, coming off a year in which you won your conference championship. Does that, you might block out the noise, but is that a chip that you guys might play? I mean,
you know what? To me, you like to be the underdog every week. I don't even know what the point spread was last week. We were probably the underdog last week at home. I know our crowd was the underdog for sure going into that game. But it is what it is. It's a good football team coming in here. I mean, you heard all summer about the SEC, and there's only really 2 Power 5 conferences in the country: the SEC and the Big Ten. So we're in the Pee Wee League, and we're going to line up and see if we can play.
We're in the Pee Wee League. We're going to line up and see if we can play. Pat Narduzzi really playing up that underdog role, but I love it. I know sometimes we as fans, I like being the underdog. I like when there's no pressure. We're the underdog. No, I like when people know that we're the team that's supposed to go in and beat Pitt on the road. Let's take a look at this matchup. You can see there, matchup predictor according to the ESPN Power Football Index, Tennessee at 54% to beat Pitt. Kind of compare some of their stats here, Hendon Hooker versus Slovis. But let's talk a little bit about Pitt and what they bring to the table. Again, defense is what they're known for. Fourth meeting in this series that goes back to 1980, and unfortunately, Tennessee's never won a game against Pitt. 3-0. Pitt is 3-0 against Tennessee. But Josh Heupel has played them prior to being in Knoxville when he was at Central Florida. They lost 35-34 in 2000, and I think it was 2019. 2018, the year before, UCF beat Pitt 45-14. Something, again, and we're going to continue to beat this into the ground. The bottom line is Pitt's defense is really good, especially their defensive line unit. They had 5 sacks in last year's win against Tennessee, and they had quite a few sacks against West Virginia as well. This offensive line, Tennessee's offensive line, returned 4 out of 5 starters, and I thought they played well enough last year. They didn't really have to do a whole lot, but the bottom line is they kept Hendon Hooker upright. They did take 1 sack, but that was really more on Hendon Hooker than it was on the offensive line. Hooker was scrambling around trying to make a play and got tripped up just short of the line of scrimmage. Yeah, it goes in the stat book as a sack. Really, whatever. That's not really on the offensive line. I don't really worry too much about that. But you look at what Pitt did last year, 11-3, top 15 ranking, first major bowl in 17 years. Looking to, again, try to fill the shoes of Kenny Pickett and also Jordan Addison. And that's the big reason why I felt confident about this game. Because if you're going to beat Tennessee in what you consider a pretty even matchup or a toss-up game, and that's what I consider this, even though Tennessee now favored by almost a touchdown, this is still a toss-up game. And if you're going to be evenly matched with this Tennessee football team, you're going to have to be able to win a shootout. And can they do that? Can they do that without Kenny Pickett? Can they do that without Jordan Addison? Keaton Slovis comes in. He's not going to be Kenny Pickett. He's just not. He was the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. Completed 68% of his passes while he was out at USC. Threw for almost 7,600 yards, 58 touchdowns in 3 seasons. He comes in and plays against West Virginia in week 1. And when you look at his stat line, looks pretty good throwing the football. He threw for over 300 yards. I think he had, what did he end up with? He had a touchdown. But what I saw from Keaton Slovis in that West Virginia game is a guy that gets rattled by pressure. And that's the conversation we've had all week, right? We've been talking about all week, the defensive line. Got to be able to get after the quarterback. We can agree, disagree. We can make excuses. We can say that the Ball State quarterback got the ball out quick, which he did. You can talk about, the game plan and what they were trying to do. And all of that's true, and all of that's a factor. But still, the bottom line is Tennessee did not register a sack against Ball State. Very vanilla, but I still think I wanted to see something. I wanted to see something, even just bringing the front 4. And I know we're going to get more elaborate. We're going to see more stuff schematically from Tim Banks. We're going to dial up some blitzes. But I think that's a key to success, to keeping this Pitt offense off the field and being able to jump out to a quick lead, is getting pressure on Slovis. I think that is just a huge key to this game. As far as wide receivers that he's going to be throwing to, Jared Wayne is a senior. Had 47 catches, 658 yards, and 6 touchdowns a year ago. Against West Virginia, he also led the way, 3 catches for 89 yards, but did not get into the end zone. Also got a couple of other guys they try to get the ball to. Had a transfer from Akron, Mumpfield, and also a freshman All-American last year, 61 catches, 751 yards, 8 touchdowns. Also, their tight end, Bartholomew, is a guy that they want to try to get involved in the game. He only had 1 catch against West Virginia. Mumpfield had 5 catches for 71 yards. Their offensive line returning all 5 starters. Now, something worth noting, and again, I kind of question this. I kind of question the line movement. I think Tennessee was favored by like 3.5, something like that, going into the week, now up to 6.5. And their offensive line, again, return all 5 starters. Rumors are that one of their offensive tackles is banged up. And I don't think Narduzzi is going to confirm that. It is what it is. That's fine. But if that's the case, if one of their offensive tackles is banged up, also rumors that their big defensive end was, he went to the locker room, I think, in the second quarter, wrist injury. But again, they act like after the game he's going to be fine. He'll play. But you wonder, you always ask, what if? Is that why we're seeing the shift in line movement? Vegas knows all. They know everything that goes on behind the scenes. They know what they're doing when they put out the lines. Is Pitt banged up going into this game? And that's something that I talked about after that West Virginia game. It was down to the wire. It was a physical game. It was a dogfight. Is that why the line is moving? Is Pitt beat up, banged up coming out of that game? Again, you're talking about offensive line returning all 5 starters. With or without an injured offensive tackle, we'll see. Can Tennessee get pressure? What do you guys think? What do you guys think about Tennessee being able to get pressure? I know a lot of people in the comment section of the day after video, a lot of people in the chat, post-game show, asking, making excuses. Jeff Mankin in the chat says, how do I get that power T emoji? I'm so jealous. Share the love. Jeff, you can join the channel. You can become a member of the channel. Just hit that join button right down below. It's right beside subscribe. Hit that join button. For as little as 99 cents a month, you get access to custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. If you give a little bit more every month, you get access to fan call-in shows, and that's a good little quick plug here. We'll be live again tonight. Tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be going live fan call-in show. You guys have the opportunity to come on and run the show. I will keep my mouth shut, maybe direct some of the conversation a little bit, but it's a takeover for the fans of the show, for the fans, by the fans. You guys will have the opportunity to come on and do that tonight. Again, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be going live. Appreciate that, Jeff. Thanks, buddy. Your boy Ponder in the chat, I think we need to get pressure if we want to win. A stop or two early in the game will be the difference. I agree with that. Going back to last year's game, Tennessee had an opportunity to really blow them out of the water early and never look back. Never look back. And what a difference. How would that season have played out? I don't know that it would have made a huge difference, but at the same time, you go from 7 to 8 wins. What's your confidence level like? But then again, Joe Milton connects on those deep balls. Maybe Hendon Hooker never takes over the job. Valter says we did not show the defensive schemes, but Saturday they will see them and get sacks. I agree. Schematically, very, very vanilla, very basic against Ball State. But you also couldn't get pressure with 4. And can you rely on the back end? Can you rely on the secondary? John Hill, I agree. This is where I'm going. You got to get pressure without bringing the house. Can you rely on the secondary? Warren Burrell struggled. He continues to struggle. Pitt's going to target Warren Burrell. It is what it is. Can the back end hold up if you're having to bring Tamari McDonald from the star position? If you're having to bring linebackers, Jeremy Banks, Aaron Beasley. We'll talk about Juwan Mitchell coming up later in the show. What's going on with Juwan Mitchell? But I agree with what John says there in the chat. You got to be able to get after the quarterback without bringing everybody. Tyler Moore, Burrell needs to step up or step aside. I agree. Marcus Rush talking about Haddon needs to play early. Haddon's got to push for the job, man. He has to push for the job. He didn't play a ton last Thursday, but the plays he was in, he looked good. It goes back to what I talked about prior to that game. I just feel like the coaching staff has confidence or trust or whatever the case may be in Warren Burrell. Brian Rhino agreeing there in the chat. Kamal Haddon, our best cover corner. Let's talk about this Pitt defense a little bit. They are returning 6 all-ACC selections from a defensive unit that ranked second nationally in sacks at 3.86 per game. Also ranked 4th in defensive touchdowns, 6th in run defense, 8th in interceptions, 39th in total defense. They've got a defensive tackle returning that had 7 sacks, 13 tackles for loss. He was first team All-ACC. You look at the defensive line, Baldonado, and again, I don't know if he's going to play. He got banged up. We'll see. But he was a stud last year, 9 sacks, 12 tackles for loss. And then they've just got depth, man. They've got depth on that defensive line. 3 other guys that are key contributors to that defense. Deslin Alexander, David Green, Devin Danielson. Some people say Pitt has one of, if not the best defensive line unit in the country. How's Tennessee's offensive line going to hold up? How are they going to hold up? Again, I think they looked good against Ball State, but that's Ball State. And again, it's just the same as questioning the defensive line unit. I wanted to see more because it was Ball State. And then you flip over, and it's the same for the offensive line. It's almost like a no-win situation for these guys. They go out, they take care of business, 59-10, 38-0 at halftime. Absolutely never in doubt. And none of it matters because it's Ball State. Offensive line plays good. Well, it's Ball State. They were supposed to. Hendon Hooker looks great. Cool, it's Ball State. He's supposed to. Defensive line doesn't get a sack. What's the problem? It's Ball State. You're supposed to. No-win situation. But it sure is nice. It sure is nice as Tennessee fans to sit back and watch a football team absolutely dominate a team like Ball State and then be able to come on here and nitpick, right? Nitpick and talk about defensive line and pressure. Buck in the chat. What's up, Buck? We'll see how good the offensive line is after this game. Yeah, we're going to figure out a lot on Saturday afternoon at 3:30. Got 250 people watching live right now. I think most of you guys know by now if you're sitting here hanging out on the morning show. We appreciate you joining us. We'll be live immediately following the Pitt game on Saturday. Within 5 minutes or so, we'll be live. We're also going to do a tailgate show. You guys seem to dig it. You guys seem to enjoy it. We'll do a tailgate show an hour before kickoff. That will also be a fan call-in show. For the fans, by the fans. Once a week, Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock, you get a chance to come on the show. Tailgate shows, hour before kickoff. Complete chaos. You guys just come on. We'll talk about it. We'll get excited. Crack open a cold beer and sit down and come hang out and talk a little Vol football with us. Peyton Manning's forehead in the chat. What's up, buddy? Says West Virginia ran the ball well on Pitt. Small should have a good game. Yeah, I've got the stat line. Let me go pull it up. I think they ran for almost 200 yards. West Virginia ran for 190 yards against the Pitt defense. And on the flip side of that, Pitt struggled to run the football, only 76 yards. And I've talked a lot about, this defensive line and how I feel like they play really good against the run. We saw that last year. Again, you talk about the tackles for loss. I feel like they play really good against the run, just can't find a way to get after that quarterback. Can't find a way to get after that quarterback. But I just want to remind you guys, we'll be live immediately following the game and also for the tailgate show. If you want to be a part of the fan call-in show tonight at 9 o'clock, or if you just like the channel, a lot of people in the chat going nuts saying, absolutely, love Talkin VAWLS, love the show, love the channel, love what you guys do. You can show us a little support. You can join the channel, hit that join button down below. It's less than a cup of coffee, and we would greatly appreciate it. Robert McGee says, hammer that like button. Yep, that's quick, free, and easy. If you don't have the money, don't ever give the money if you don't have it. John Hill comes in here every single show and throws a $10 super chat at the minimum and says, here's for a great show, Boogie. Thanks for the content. I appreciate that. Very generous, and I appreciate that. A lot of members of the channel Love it. But don't ever feel like you have to contribute to be a part of this channel. Just show up, hang out, and smash the like button because it's free. Jeff becomes a member of the channel. Thank you, Jeff Mankin. Appreciate that, buddy. You got access to those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis now. Guys, show him what he's won. Put him in the chat. Let him see what's up. Appreciate that support, Jeff. Means a lot, buddy. Wrapping up this Pitt defense. Linebacker. They returned a really good linebacker in Dennis. I think he led the team in tackles last year. Had 87 tackles, 9.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. The secondary is where it's at. The secondary is where I think Tennessee has the advantage. I think they'll be able to throw all over Pitt. And watching the West Virginia game, again, I kind of mentioned it earlier in the show, I feel like their corners are small. And I don't feel like their corners are going to be able to keep up with Tennessee's wide receivers on the outside. I think Brew McCoy, I think Cedric Tillman, I think they're going to have a field day. And when you talk about this Tennessee offense and what they look like against Ball State, that was very vanilla. Everything they did, they didn't really stretch the field vertically. Everything was quick to the outside. A lot of quick screens to Cedric Tillman, to Brew McCoy, to Jalen Hyatt. Get the ball out quick and let your playmakers go make plays. Didn't really utilize a lot of play action. Didn't really utilize the middle of the field. Didn't really take a whole lot of shots deep. I think we're going to see that on Saturday. But we know that. We know that, right? I'm way less concerned about that than I am the pressure by the defensive line because we've not seen that under Josh Heupel and Tim Banks. Knoxville Predator catcher for 2. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. It says we have way more film on Pitt than they have on us. That's a good point. There's no doubt about that. Pitt went down to the wire. It took a pick 6 late in the game to come out of there with a win. But I'm glad they did. I'm glad they did come out with a win. Because I wanted Pitt ranked. I wanted Pitt ranked when they came into week 2 against Tennessee. And we kind of questioned talking about all around the national or the NCAA in week 1. Talk about all the games. Did we want Florida to win or did we want Florida to lose? What do we want from Georgia? Georgia looked absolutely dominant, absolutely destroyed Oregon. Not even a football game. They're going to be tough to deal with. Your boy Ponder becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that, buddy. Thank you for the support. You got access to those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, fan call-in shows, all kinds of fun stuff. Show him what he's won. Put those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis in the chat. Peyton Manning's forehead. Will the AP Top 25 come out today? I think it does come out sometime today. Not sure what time. Dakota is being a really good moderator in the chat. He's dropping a lot of different links. Make sure you guys check those out. Merchandise links, links to Spire Sports Group, how you can get involved with NIL, but also support the Talkin VAWLS Network. We are an official affiliate of Spire Sports Group, so make sure you guys check out all those links. What about the Florida game? I put out a video with emotional week 1 reactions. Some people got pissed. Some people did not like the cover photo I used on that one. But the point of that cover photo is because so many people react so emotionally, so strong after just one week of football. Florida all of a sudden is going to win the SEC East, even though Georgia destroyed Oregon. And there's always the opposite of that. Again, it's always an emotional response. There's always the Utah sucks. They're not any good, even though they were top 10. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I don't think they're a top 10 team, but I don't think they suck. They're not a cupcake by any means. Georgia's Georgia. They're dominant. They're good. They're going to be tough. But what scares me more than anything is this right here that Tyler Moore's talking about in the chat. Got to have to figure out a way to contain Richardson. Make him beat. I agree. They're going to have to stack the box. But, again, it goes back to what we talked about earlier in this Pitt game. You start bringing all this pressure. Is the back end going to be able to hold up? And I know that Richardson doesn't have the best arm. I know that. But can our secondary hang? Can they hang if you have to load the box to prevent Richardson from running? But that's what scares me after watching the Florida game. And people can discredit Richardson and talk about how he sucks, he's terrible, he's not a good quarterback. He only threw for 168 yards. He's terrible, no arm. He also ran for over 100, had 3 touchdowns on the ground. That's pretty scary. That's worth watching, especially when we know that this Tennessee football team has struggled year in, year out. Doesn't matter who the coach is. Doesn't matter. Continue to struggle against running quarterbacks. A lot of new members coming onto the channel. Appreciate that. Did I hit your boy Ponder? I think I did hit him. Thank you, your boy Ponder, for joining the channel. Appreciate that support. Austin Byers also becomes a member of the channel. Thank you for that. Robert McGee also joins the channel. A lot of new people coming in, joining the channel. Appreciate you guys hanging out on this Tuesday morning. Buck's hating on me. Buck says 3 more new members, and Boogie may do a stream wearing Tennessee gear. Buck, you would be surprised. I know Buck likes to harass me. He likes to insult me. Likes to make fun of me. That's what Buck does. He's starting to become a lot like Brad in the chat. They just show up here to mock me and insult me. But you would be surprised how many people actually get upset, actually get mad if I don't wear Tennessee gear on every stream. I'm sorry I'm on the internet like 5-6 days a week and don't wear Tennessee gear every time. I'll try to be better, guys. I'll try to be better. We got 252 people watching live. Thank you guys for hanging out. Make sure you do smash that thumbs up. What's up, RJ's Fishing and Outdoors? Good to see you in the chat. Make sure you guys do hit that thumbs up. It's quick, it's free, it's easy. I would appreciate it. Thank you to all the new members coming into the channel. I just want to remind you of the schedule for this week. Tonight, 9 o'clock, we'll do a fan call-in show. You, the members of the channel, have the opportunity to come on. We'll go about an hour. We'll go like 9 to 10, let you guys come on, shoot the bull, hang out, talk a little Vol football. And then tomorrow night, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, regular midweek show. We're live every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. JP, Vols JP, going to be coming back on, jumping on. Me and him going to go one-on-one and talk about this Ball State game. I'll tell you guys what happens with JP. Any of you Talkin Vols OG members that know, JP, he may be the most emotional guy on the planet when it comes to Tennessee football. He texted me during that Ball State game, concerned. He's always worried about the line of scrimmage. So I'm anxious to get on and talk to him about the defensive line, also the offensive line, and see where he's at. He usually calms down. By the time we get to the midweek, makes a little bit more logical decisions and statements. So it'll be fun. Again, tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, JP be coming on, hanging out. That'll be good fun. And then, like I said, Saturday, an hour before kickoff, we'll be live, and then also immediately following the game. So let's jump in. I want to hear what Josh Heupel had to say. He met with the media yesterday for the Pitt press conference. We'll listen to his comments. If you guys want to hijack the show, you guys know what to do in the chat. I will stop and get any super chats that come in or pause and make comments as we listen to what Josh Heupel had to say yesterday as he met with the media.
Hope everybody had a great weekend. For us, I said after the ball game, unique opportunity for our coaches to get on the road. Great to get out and see a lot of people here in state and across our footprint and have an opportunity to watch some recruits. Thought that went really well. This is a big game for us, obviously. First road test for us against a really good football team. Awesome opportunity to
Let me try that again. Let me try that again with audio. Nobody's even making fun of me. Did anybody? Was there no audio? I gotta click a little check mark in the bottom corner. Let's try that again. All right, here we go.
That'll turn it over to Coach. Hope everybody had a great weekend. For us, I said after the ball game, unique opportunity for our coaches to get on the road. Great to get out and see a lot of people here in state and across our footprint and have an opportunity to watch some recruits. Thought that went really well. This is a big game for us, obviously. First road test for us against a really good football team. Awesome opportunity to recognize Coach Majors and what he did for both programs, but in particular here at Tennessee. His years here as a player, as a coach, the impact that he's had, the legacy that he's left for our program, something that we still see and feel today. So great opportunity there. Really good football team. In all three phases. I've faced them, I think, 4 times. This is the 4th time in 5 years. They're tough, physical, on both sides of the line of scrimmage and do a really nice job. So be a big test for us. After watching the ball game from the other night, there's some things that were really positive that like what we did in all 3 phases, some things that we got to grow through here really quickly before we go play this Saturday afternoon. So with that, I'll open it up.
How much weight do you guys put on this Pitt game? How much weight? I think it's crucial to get to 8 wins, 9 wins when you look at the schedule, how it plays out as we move forward. You know, we talked about the importance of starting 4-0 in September. Are you a little bit more scared of Florida after that game against Utah? Or do you think there's being too much put on that game, me included? I'm putting a lot on that game with the way Richardson looked. But I just think this Pitt game is huge. It almost feels like a turning point. It feels like a turning point for not just Josh Heupel, for this program, for this entire program to go on the road, take on a top, I don't know if they're going to be top 15. I don't know where they'll be ranked. I don't know what time the AP poll comes out. Peyton Manning's forehead says early road test, got to start strong. John Hill, this game shows us what team we really are. 100%. 100%. Ryan Charlotte, good super chat here. $2. Thank you for that. Says running back involvement in passing and pass pro big versus Pitt. The players also met with the media yesterday, and that's something that I think Jabari Small talked about, that they didn't really have to do much against Ball State. Ball State was content to just drop everybody in coverage, not let Tennessee get over their head, not let Tennessee make the deep plays. The running backs are going to be heavily involved, particularly in pass protection. I agree, Ryan. That's a good super chat. The offensive line is going to be tested. Running back's going to be tested. We're going to find out what this team's made of. Like I said, I feel like it's a turning point. Thank you for the super chat again, Ryan. I appreciate that. Can this team go out and get it done? I dread this chat if Tennessee loses on Saturday. I feel like a lot of people are going to start to turn on Josh Heupel, especially now that the line has gone up. It's gone up to 6.5. People are starting to buy in and believe that Tennessee's going to go win this football game. Reminds me a lot of the Ole Miss game last year. The only difference is Tennessee wasn't favored to win that game.
Questions? We'll start with Vince and then go to all.
Josh, as you know, this year's Pitt team looks a lot different than some of those others that you've faced previously because of how much they really want to run the football. How different of a look is that in the way they run and that physicality versus what you might typically see now in college football?
The structure of what they do offensively a little bit different. Play with an extra tackle at times last week, but some 12 personnel as well. Running the football and then their play action shots come off of that. In recent years, with the quarterback that they had, they played in a little bit more spread, and we're pitching it around a little bit more. So the tempo of the ball game will be a little bit different. Defensively, what we're going to see from them will be a little bit different. Got to do a great job of being physical with your front seven in particular, but really your entire defensive unit. You got to maintain gap integrity. Got to have your eyes in the right place too, because play action is going to come off of it, and you can't give them any chunk plays.
I think that, again, plays into our advantage, and it goes into, Kenny Pickett being off to the NFL. I think it plays into our advantage that they're going kind of away from the spread, kind of bringing it down, getting heavy, trying to run the football. And, again, they struggled to run the football against West Virginia. And I've said over and over and over, I like the way this defensive line unit, and I also like the way Jeremy Banks plays against the run. His physicality, the way he attacks downhill. I think Jeremy Banks is way better against the run than he is the pass. Aaron Beasley looked great against Ball State. He looked great. We'll talk about Juwan Mitchell because Coach Heupel addresses it here in just a second. We'll talk about Juwan Mitchell. But it's very likely that he's not going to be a part of the game against Pitt. He's probably going to be in street clothes again if he's even with the team. I don't know how they go about that. I don't know if he'll travel or not. But if he keeps having to sit out, if he's on that sideline, Aaron Beasley's going to take that job because Aaron Beasley is playing good football right now. Isaiah Baker here with a good point. The toxic fans will probably start to switch up, sadly. Expect big things this year, but at the same time, won't be surprised if it's similar to last year. To me, the biggest deal is how we may lose games. Yeah, that's for me too, Isaiah. That's the way I look at it. It's not necessarily about how many games they lose. If they go 7-5, how did they lose those 5 games? What happened in those 5 games to cause that? Josh Heupel definitely needs more time. And when I say the reaction is going to be negative if he loses, it's that vocal group of people that are what you would call toxic fans that immediately flip on a switch. Part of me understands it, I guess. You want more, you expect more from Tennessee football. But at the same time, when you sit back realistically, and I joke about JP and how emotional he is after games, I always laughed at him, man. We would be together on a Monday, and everything's calm, cool, and collected. And then that next Saturday, he is a complete psychopath and lunatic. Expects perfection. I'm talking 1-3 and out. The game's over. Worst coach in history. Fire this guy, fire that guy. That's just an emotional response. But I think we just have to be realistic with where Josh Heupel's at, the roster. We all knew where he was at, a year and a half ago when he took the job. Austin Byers with a $50 super chat, dropping the pink boy. That ain't cheap. That ain't cheap at all. I appreciate that. That is a very generous super chat, and we have a little thing we do around here. If you drop a $50 super chat or more, got to play the clip.
Money isn't everything. It's the only thing. And everyone has a price for the $1 Million Man.
Appreciate that super chat. Austin says it will be interesting to see how Richardson does on the road in a hostile environment. But Pitt didn't impress me with a bottom-tier Big 12 team. Yeah, coming out of the weekend, you kind of flip the script a little bit. You feel a little bit more confident about that Pitt game, a little less confident about that Florida game. But something about that Florida game, we're going to know a little bit more about who Florida is this weekend when they take on Kentucky. I think we're going to see what Florida's made of. If they go whip Kentucky, I'm not just saying if they win. If they go dominate Kentucky, then the concern goes up just a little bit higher. Just a little bit higher, the concern for that Florida game goes up. I felt good about this Pitt game all off season long. You guys that have been on this ride with me all throughout the summer, talking Vol football, expectations, hype, excitement, you guys know I've been beating that drum for a while. I like the matchup against Pitt. We're going to find out Saturday if I have any idea what I'm talking about. Probably not. I hope I do. I hope I'm right on this one. But the narrative for the fan base did kind of flip. People seem more concerned with Florida, a little less concerned about Pitt. I love the fact that Pitt was in a dogfight but still came out with the win. I love that. That's a picture-perfect scenario for Tennessee's matchup with Pitt. The Johnny Majors Classic. Bradley Rhodes pissed at me in the chat. Wants me to stop talking about Kentucky. Okay, man. Email me the topics for the show. I'll be glad to cover them. Thank you for the super chat, Austin. Very generous. I appreciate that. A 50 spot. All right, let's hear more from Josh Heupel as we get closer and closer to this Pitt game. Right around the corner. Be here before you know it.
When you went back and watched the film, thoughts on the two left guys at left tackle, and then defensively, when you went back and watched, were you able to notice, were they able to do some things just to kind of keep you off their quarterback? It seemed like they were rolling the pocket some, getting the ball in the hands as quick as possible to keep you all from getting home.
Yeah, at the left tackle position, I thought both of them played well throughout the course of the football game. In protection, you guys saw the structure of what we were seeing, a lot of drop eight. So in some ways you had a lot of double teams, 2 double teams working up front. So we'll find more out about them in pass pro this week. Obviously, the front that we're going to see from Pittsburgh is one of the better that we'll see throughout the course of the season. Veteran group that plays extremely hard and can get after the quarterback as well. Defensively, as far as just pressure, I thought we were able to apply some pressure. We weren't able to get home, and some of that was the structure of what they were doing, their concepts, getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands extremely quickly, and then the protections that they were using. I thought overall up front there were a lot of positive growth that we want to see from them.
We say the SEC's a line of scrimmage league. When you look at Pitt, their front seven defensively, their offensive line, How do they compare at the line of scrimmage from what you usually face in the SEC?
Yeah, this is a veteran group that plays extremely hard. They're physically mature. They play with great technique. The structure of their defense, I don't care what personnel grouping or what formation you're playing in, they're going to load it up and play with extra bodies in there. So they make it difficult to run the football. You guys know for us, offensively, it starts with our ability to run the football. So that'll be a pivotal part of the football game.
Josh, when you went back and watched the film, just what you think of Warren Burrell and Christian Charles, their play on Thursday night?
We'll get to that here in just a second, talking about the defensive backs, what he thought, what he saw there. I like Tennessee to go run the football against Pitt on Saturday. And, there was some conversation back and forth in the comment section in the chat about Jabari Small and people saying that he didn't look physical. And I disagree with that. I disagree. I think Jabari Small looked more physical. I liked Jalen Wright on Saturday against Ball State. And again, take it for what it's worth. It's Ball State, is what it is. But I feel like both running backs ran physical. They broke arm tackles. We saw Jabari Small pick up a couple of short yardage situations. We talk about being better on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Talk about being better on the goal line. How about Jabari Small down there on the 7-yard line? He gets hit around the line of scrimmage, keeps driving his legs, and yes, a lot of it's that offensive line getting behind him and pushing him, but the bottom line is he kept churning those legs, and he got in the end zone, and he ran physical. I thought both running backs ran physical. Derek Rogers in the chat, Wright was better. I agree. I thought Jalen Wright, coming out of week 1, looked better, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing because Alex Golish has talked about going with the hot hand, whichever running back is hot, go with them. Give them the rock. Feed them more carries. So if Jalen Wright comes out of week 1 and he grades out better and he looks better, good. I hope that motivates Jabari Small to go out and run harder this week against Pittsburgh because you need both of those guys. Whether it's in the SEC or whether it's against a team like Pitt who's got a tough defensive front, you need both guys to be able to rotate, stay healthy, stay fresh, and finish games. And that's something Jabari Small talked about, putting the weight on. He talked about putting the weight on so that he can finish games. Finish those games late in the fourth quarter when you ran out of gas. I'm excited to see what this football team can do. If West Virginia can run the rock against Pittsburgh, Tennessee better be able to run the rock. And that's something that sometimes gets lost. People think that Josh Heupel is a flashy, throw it down the field type of offense, and it is. They're going to take their shots. They're going to take their vertical threats. But they also like to run the football. And I want to see that on Saturday against Pitt. Let's hear what Josh Heupel has to say about the defensive backs here. I think he was asked about Kamal Hadden and Christian Charles. No, Warren Burrell and Christian Charles.
Yeah, those guys got the bulk of the work out on the perimeter. I thought did a really nice job with the mix of our coverages. I thought the 50-50 balls, those guys played it pretty well down the sideline. And liked what I saw from them. Obviously, this week out on the perimeter, we'll see some guys that will be a bigger test for us.
Coach, at wideout, you had a bunch of guys catch balls on Thursday night. Just what did you feel about that group overall?
Yeah, overall, excited about what they put on video for the first week. The guys that had played were really consistent. Cedric mainly. I thought Jalen did a really nice job while he was in there. Obviously, the first play of the football game, able to get in the end zone. The young guys inside of our program, from Brew McCoy to the guys that were young and maybe have been here for a year, I thought handled themselves in a better way than they had a year ago. You could see some of their growth. There's things within what we're doing that we need to perform at a higher level and more consistent this week in particular. These guys are going to play a bunch of press man out on the outside, and you got to win one-on-ones here.
I'm excited about that wide receiver unit. Again, it's Ball State. I'll keep saying that every time I make a comment, but it's true. But I think Hendon Hooker, he threw connected with 7 different receivers on Thursday night. And he talked about that he likes to spread the ball around. Cedric Tillman, 6 catches, 68 yards. Jimmy Holiday, 4 catches, 62 yards. Keaton had 4 catches. Brew McCoy had 3 catches. Jalen Hyatt, 2. Squirrel White, 3. Walker Merrill, 2. Spread the ball around, and that excites me. And that's something that Golish has talked about too, wanting to rotate 7-8 guys that he can trust at that wide receiver position So it's going to be interesting to see what that wide receiver unit looks like on Saturday. Do they really trust 7 to 8 guys, or is that coach speak? Is that them trying to motivate guys to come along so that they get that opportunity on game day? Of course they rotated guys against Ball State, obviously. I mean, we saw freshman linebacker Elijah Herring in the game in the first quarter. The second series of the game, Elijah Herring is out there. So, of course, they're going to play a lot of guys against Ball State. What does that wide receiver rotation look like this Saturday against Pittsburgh? Are you just going to see Tillman, McCoy, Jalen Hyatt? Or are you going to see Squirrel White get as many snaps as he did? Is Walker Merrill going to get a lot of run? Ramel Keaton, Jimmy Holiday. I wonder what those opportunities are going to look like on Saturday compared to that Ball State game. We got 307 people watching live. Appreciate that. Big time morning show. You guys dig these. I'm going to keep doing them as long as I can. As long as I've got the vacation time in the bucket, we'll do them. It'll run out eventually. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on these morning shows. Always a good time. Just do me a quick favor. Smash that thumbs up if you haven't, just right below the video. Hit that thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Quick, free, easy. You guys know the gimmick. Even those of you watching over there on Facebook or out there on Twitter, hit the thumbs up, hit the heart, retweet it, share it. Let somebody know we're live. Yeah, I showed you guys a couple of weeks ago. You guys got fired up, and I offered a free T-shirt that is going to be shipped out in the mail to Brad Burnett in the chat. He won the free T-shirt. But you guys grew this subscriber base by 50 people in one show because you all went nuts and shared it like crazy. It was shared on Facebook, Twitter, all over the place. So this is your show. This is your show. You run the show. You have a voice. I try to prove that. I feel like you guys get it. I feel like you understand that you have a voice here. Try to highlight your comments. Get you on here for the fan call-in shows. You guys hold the keys. I'm just along for the ride. So take 2 seconds, hit the thumbs up, share this thing out. Sharing is the big thing. If you can retweet it. Anytime you see a video or a live stream, anything, retweet it. It helps. You guys have power by sharing that stuff out, and I greatly appreciate the support that you guys give us. Lonnie Alval Williams says, I'm still waiting on my free T-shirt. You got to win it, Lonnie. Look, I didn't want to give a free shirt to Brad. Brad hates me. I don't even know why Brad's here. All he ever does is insult me. But when the Google randomizer picks Brad, I'm faced with a decision in life. And I looked myself in the mirror, and I thought about lying and saying Brad didn't win. I thought about just saying Brad didn't win. But I couldn't do it. So maybe your name will pop up the next time we give away a free shirt. All right, let's hear more.
Josh, I know it was just one game, but when you watch that Pitt defense, kind of what do they do well? What jumps off the tape whenever you're evaluating?
Yeah, they gave up a couple of big runs, just misfit a couple things, but overall they make it extremely difficult. Their front four are strong, physical, athletic. Their ability to get to the quarterback on normal downs, but then on third downs too, where they'll try to scheme you up. They're veteran on the outside. We've seen these guys, a couple of the last times that we've played them, and it'll be a big test for us offensively.
What's the challenge of facing a quarterback that hasn't played many games in a system, and then what stood out about what Slovis did against West Virginia?
Yeah, I think just as much as anything, they have the ability to be different than what they've shown on tape. And that can be in week one, or it can be what they've done at a previous stop. I thought he played pretty efficient throughout the course of the evening. For us, we got to be able to adjust during the course of the ball game to what we see, communicate on the sidelines, and communicate those things out on the football field when we see them. We got to be disciplined, and we got to do a great job in the run game. We got to smash it.
Josh, I watched a lot of ball games over the weekend where there were a number of challenges from coaches, and I wonder, do you have somebody in the press box that alerts you about when you should or shouldn't challenge?
Yeah, you try to. In today's game, sometimes you got to make a judgment call before, just because the team might be playing with tempo, and you got to make a decision beforehand. You're communicating with the side judges as well as far as whether it's being reviewed up top or not.
Have you always done that, try to have somebody in the press box to help you with that?
Absolutely.
What a wasted question from Jimmy Himes. Benjamin Watkins in the chat. Kaner needs to come back on, Boogie. Yeah, he's got an open invite. I sent him a message sometime last week and I asked him what he preferred, if he wanted to come on before the Pitt game or before the Florida game. He said he would let me know. So he'll be back on, just not sure when he'll be back on. So stay tuned. We're going to do more with Eric Kane They're busy. They just made that shift from Rivals to On 3. He just left his job at the radio, so he's had a lot going on. But, definitely looking forward to hanging out with Eric Kane a little bit more. What's up, Lee Honda Hill? Good to see you in the chat, buddy. All right, let's hear some more from Josh Heupel. Hopefully we get a better question than that. Thank you, Jimmy Himes.
Coach, you touched on the receiving core from this past game, but specifically for Jimmy Holiday to be able to come out and have a big game like he did, can you evaluate his performance and were you expecting that kind of a game from him?
Yeah, operated really efficient, got himself lined up, understood coverages on the back end, was able to catch and run a little bit on a perimeter screen. Obviously, the dig route that he's able to score a touchdown on was a big play for him and for us. He's somebody that just continues to get better inside of our system and really just fundamentally having played that position for a very short amount of time. Having played quarterback in transition and outside. Saw him show up in special teams too, and that's something they did a year ago, but he's a better player on those units right now than he was at that time, and expect him to continue to grow and to having a huge impact inside of our program.
Coach, I know Kamal Hadden was limited a good bit in fall camp with the injury.
Yeah.
He played a handful of snaps, 15 to 20, I think, on Thursday night with the interception. What did you see out of him, and where do you see that kind of rotation at the cornerback position being with Warren and Charles and Turnage and Kamal?
Yeah, some of that may play out game to game during the course of it, just the flow of the football game, but anticipate all of those guys playing a lot of snaps. And Kamal did a really nice job. You mentioned him having a short amount of time in training camp. Since he's come back, he's handled himself and grown in a great way, but he handled himself really mature while he was out and took it upon himself to kind of act like a coach and essentially, give a report card to Coach Martinez on some of the guys during the course of practice. And I think that kept him engaged and understanding what we're doing. Performed really well the other night. Obviously, everybody saw the pick, but I thought he did the things that we were asking him to in some of the trap corner situations, coming up and being physical, and so a lot of positives.
I want to know where Brandon Turnage is at. Nobody's really asking about Brandon Turnage. The Kamal Hadden stuff makes sense, beat up in fall camp. I think he's going to slowly but surely work his way into a starting job. But where in the world is Brandon Turnage? And Tamarion McDonald, kudos to him for going and winning that star position. Like, I'm excited about Tamarion McDonald, got the pick there to start things off. What a great start to the Ball State game. Tamarion McDonald with a pick. You follow that up with a Jalen Hyatt touchdown. Two guys that have kind of earned their spot. I like to see that. But where in the world is Brandon Turnage in this secondary? How can he not get a job in this secondary? I don't understand. But I'm excited about the future for Kamal Hadden.
Yeah, Josh, with Juwan Mitchell, do you expect him to be back this week? And what did you think of the way that Aaron Beasley played? And maybe what are the biggest areas he's growing in since last season?
Yeah, I thought the backers as a whole, in particular, the first string of guys that got action, played fast, played physical, had their eyes in the right place, and tackled well. Beasley played extremely well. I thought you could see him, just his growth from a year ago to who he was on the football field on Thursday night. Really liked a lot of what we saw from him. Juwan's ability to be able to be healthy enough to play for us, we'll find out here at the end of the week.
That is not the truth. That's not the truth. Healthy? It's not about okay, let's lay things out here. Austin Price over at VolQuest, about 40 minutes before the game. Austin Price says Juwan Mitchell is not dressed out, won't be participating in the game, and it is not injury related. He says it's not injury related. And then there's not been a whole lot of talk about it. Josh Heupel didn't really say anything about it in the post game. You're kind of wondering, it's up in the air whether or not Juwan Mitchell is going to play this weekend on the road against Pittsburgh. And then Josh Heupel's asked there yesterday about whether or not Juwan Mitchell's injured, what the story is, and he mentions the injury. Austin Price again on VolQuest confirms it's not an injury, that he's not hurt. So I don't know if it is a carryover suspension from last year. I don't know what the situation is with Juwan Mitchell, but I'll just keep doubling down. He's going to lose his job. And some of the people on VolQuest say the way this is playing out that Juwan Mitchell may never play a snap again at Tennessee. I don't know if it's that. Do we need to get that excited about it or that upset about it? But the longer that Juwan Mitchell's on the sideline, the more difficult it's going to be for him to win that job back from Aaron Beasley. But I just think it's interesting that AP is saying that it's not injury related. Then you've got Josh Heupel saying we'll see where he's at with the injury. But it doesn't sound like he is going to play this weekend against Pitt. I see you guys going nuts in the chat. I don't know if that's actually Uncle Lou or not. You guys, the ones of you that think it's funny to change your name and, you know, the Ricky Gibsons and the Christian Conyers and all that stuff, like, I don't know. I don't understand. I know it's the internet and people think it's funny. But Christian Conyer follows me on Twitter. That's not him in the chat. So it is what it is. If that's Uncle Lou, tweeted out at him a couple of weeks ago, said we need to get together and do something. You guys have asked for it. I don't know if Uncle Lou's going to come on here and yell and scream and act like a psychopath, or if he's going to come on and do a breakdown like he did of Tennessee's win prediction. That was a great video. Really enjoyed that video. Uncle Lou knows football, man. And I think if he comes on and hangs out, I think it'd be fun. But that's up to him, whatever he wants to do. Crazy Nugs for $2 super chat. Appreciate that. Uncle Lou says he'll fight you, Boogie. Email him. I don't want to fight anybody. I don't want to fight Uncle Lou. I want to hang out and talk a little ball with Uncle Lou. He says it's me. Email me. We'll find out. We'll see. Okay, it's not. You don't Twitter. You're on Twitter. We're on Twitter. All right, we'll see what happens. Those of you that like to change your name to recruits and different people, come on, grow up. Grow up. If it's the real person, it's fun. We can talk. We can hang out. If it's not the real person, it kind of hijacks the show. But we'll see if it's Uncle Lou. We'll figure out something. We'll get together. We'll do a little collaboration. All right, here we go.
Coach, a couple things on Jabari Small. Looked like he was able to run through maybe more arm tackles in this game. How much can seeing some of the offseason work he did pay off right away help his confidence? And then secondly, I know it's a different year and a different game, but can you take anything from this matchup last season, or is it a clean slate?
Yeah, for Jabari, the work that he's put in, that's, physically changing his body to understanding what we're doing, that does give him more confidence. Absolutely does. You saw that play out a little bit on Thursday night, the ability to break some arm tackles. Going to need that consistently throughout the course of the season from him. Last year's ball game, we can take away things. One, personnel. Some of the guys are different, but some of them are the same, so you have a better understanding of who they are against some of our personnel. The other thing is just understanding, the type of game that's going to be played, meaning that they're smart, tough, and competitive, and the little things are going to add up to the big things that show up on the scoreboard. And we got to do a great job of taking care of the football. We got to find a way to create turnovers. Special teams will be a huge part of the football game. Field position is as well, and maximizing our opportunities.
Coach, how do you manage the expectations after a season opening win where you put up almost 60 points?
Man, last week has nothing to do with this coming week. A year ago has nothing to do with what's going to happen this week. Perform the right way. The way that you do that is you prepare the right way. And so, that's in the film room, making sure that we're gaining an edge on that side of it, prepared for it, practice in a great way, and then be ready to go compete.
Josh, you mentioned special teams, two things. What did you see from your special teams in game one?
Yeah, some really good things from our cover units. There's some things that we got to get better at too. Some young guys that performed really well. Some other guys that got to be better in just their fundamentals and technique. First live action, and so it's an opportunity from week one to week two to really grow. That can happen for all of our guys, veterans included, coaches included, but certainly for our young guys.
And you guys have been really complimentary. Dylan Sampson, did his play and his opportunity back up what you saw and expected from practice?
Yeah, I thought he matched the things that he had been doing in practice. He was able to take that to the football game and translate it. The bright lights, the energy, all of it, the stage wasn't too big for him in any way.
Josh, after the game, Tamari McDonald said he predicted he'd get an interception, and then Jalen Hyatt predicted he'd score the first touchdown. And I wonder if you
if it comes down to predictions, they should start to do that again.
Just wondering if you appreciate their confidence.
Absolutely. But those are two guys are great examples of guys that put in work. They put themselves in a position to maximize the opportunities when they present themselves. And they did that on the first two plays, for the offense and for the defense. But expect those guys to continue to do that throughout the course of the year.
I was glad to see those two. I know I kind of said it earlier, but to see McDonald get that interception to start off the game, then see Jalen Hyatt follow that up with a touchdown. But just want to see Jalen Hyatt continue. Because, he went out and got that first catch for a touchdown. Then he only had one catch the rest of the way. He's definitely bigger, more physical. I want to see what he looks like on Saturday. And, again, I want to see what that wide receiver rotation looks like. Do they truly trust 7 to 8 guys, or is it going to be Tillman, Brew McCoy, Jalen Hyatt? But look, man, it all falls back on these guys. It's like the Cedric Tillman thing and what he was able to do when Josh Heupel took over. And then, Ramel Keaton's a guy that we keep saying, where's this kid at? When is Ramel Keaton going to step up and do something? And he had a decent day, 4 catches, 57 yards on Thursday night against Ball State. I want to see Ramel Keaton continue to develop and be better. I like that this coaching staff praises these guys, and then you see it on the field. And that's what you get from Tamarian McDonald. That's what you get from Jalen Hyatt. This coaching staff talked about those two guys doing things the right way, putting in the work.
Coach Hendon tied for what I believe is the second most consecutive games with a passing touchdown in program history. I believe he's at 13 now. Can you just talk a little bit about what makes him such an aerial threat and what makes him such an experienced quarterback out there? He's able to find his receivers.
Yeah, he would tell you, and I would tell you too, that happens because of guys out on the perimeter finding a way to get open, because of the guys up front doing a great job in protection. He's someone that has continued to grow just in our understanding of what we're doing. And so his ability to be in the right place so that he's finding, the one-on-one and man-to-man or in zone coverage, he's finding the right area to attack, gives him the ability to get it in the playmaker's hands. He's smart, he's competitive, he's consistent in his work habits. I expect that to continue to grow as he's here this year.
Josh, I think there may have been only one or so tight end targets in the first game. Is that just the way the ball flowed, just one of those things?
Just the way it unfolded during the course of that ball game. You look back at a year ago, there's times where they end up with a bunch of targets, and there's other games where it just doesn't unfold that way as we try to attack, defensive structure and personnel.
You got to praise those tight ends, though. They did a great job blocking, especially out on the perimeter. They did a good job there. And it goes to the offense kind of being vanilla. It being vanilla on Thursday night against Ball State, and you didn't see a whole lot of play action. And I think that's where they seem to utilize the tight end a lot, is going play action, then sneak the tight end up the seam. And I want to see them attack the middle of the field against Pitt. That's something they don't do a whole lot. Of course, you saw the crossing route. Who was it? Was it Holiday? Was it Holiday that had the crossing route? I think it was Holiday that Joe Milton just absolutely threw a rocket, hit him right in the numbers for a touchdown. Beautiful route, beautiful throw. Also, talking about Hendon Hooker and what he does in this offense. What if, and I don't even want to put this out in the universe, we have to, at some point in the season, lean on Joe Milton. I think it's a very real possibility, the way that Hendon Hooker runs the football, the way he's out there making plays with his legs. What if? You got to be pretty happy with what you saw from Joe Milton Thursday night. 8 of 9, 113 yards and a touchdown. Had some good accuracy. The one to the tight end, a little high, a little hot. That was his one incompletion, and that could have easily been a touchdown. I agree, Leah. Fant dropping that ball. And that's the thing with Hendon Hooker's numbers, too. Fant had a drop. Jalen Hyatt had a drop. I think Brew McCoy had a drop in the end zone. Definitely got to clean those up. But I'm excited. I think we've got 2 really good tight ends. Now, once you get past the 2 deep, maybe a little bit more of a question mark. But Princeton Fant, Jacob Warren, I look for them to have good seasons, good solid seasons. But again, just because they didn't make plays in the passing game, they were out there playing good football, and that's good to see. Evan counts for 10. Thank you for the super chat, Evan. Appreciate that tip in the old tip jar. Going back to the toxic fans, just had concern on the postgame show about the D-line not getting much pressure. Hope Coach Josh Heupel stays here for the rest of his career. Awesome coach. Love that guy. Well, I can address that. If you're talking about us, our reaction in the post-game show, I said as soon as we went off air, I wasn't happy with the post-game show, and it's something that I'm working on as a YouTuber, as the host of the show. I'm the guy that's trying to drive the conversation. I'm also trying to engage you guys. I want to always make sure that you guys have a voice. A lot of super chats are coming in. I'm trying to figure out how to balance that. You know, if we get $2 super chat, $2 super chat, $2 super chat, $2 super chat, and then a $50 super chat, I think we got to put value on that. And I'm trying, and again, that's on me. I'm trying to, it's a good problem to have. The live chats are growing. It's getting bigger, getting more people. And I think it's almost easier for me to run a show by myself because I'm talking to you guys, but whereas when we have a regular post-game show, I'm talking to you guys and 3 other humans live on air. But sometimes, too, with the post-game, man, it gets emotional. And we can come in and talk about how great the offense was, how great Hendon Hooker was, but we're also going to kind of nitpick what we see, what we want improvement on. The defensive line didn't get pressure, and I think that was worth talking about. I don't know that that's necessarily toxic. What I would call toxic is if Tennessee goes on the road and loses to Pitt, I'm afraid some of these people are going to flip out and be questioning Josh Heupel. And I would say that's where some of that toxicity comes from. I don't think it's toxic necessarily to bring up concerns about this football team moving forward, to talk about, you know, they need to improve on this or that. I don't think that's necessarily toxic. Dakota in the chat says bigger super chats have to be the priority. You know, I don't ever want to skip a paying customer, but I think what we're going to do post game show is make the priority the bigger super chats, and then I'll read every super chat. It just won't necessarily get highlighted on screen. And I'm in communication with StreamYard right now, the software that we use to try to get that balanced out and fixed. The chats all come in with the super chats, and this is all inside baseball. It's the the Tuesday morning stream. Why not talk about it? All the chats come in together. So if you drop a super chat and I don't hit it because we have a conversation flowing on the channel, and that's what I'm trying to learn to balance. Sometimes it's so hard to go back and find it. And I think it was Evan that I missed one of his super chats late in the show because of that. And I don't want to do that. And there's a way I think I can balance it. So we'll see how it plays out Saturday. But I appreciate you guys being patient with me. You know, look, I say for the fans, by the fans. That's because it's true. I'm not a radio guy. I'm not a media guy. I'm just a dude sitting in my man cave with all my video games and comic books and dork toys talking about Tennessee football with you guys. So I appreciate you guys understanding and being patient. I just value your input. Evan counts for 10. Thank you for the super chat. I absolutely agree. Love how you run the show. I was talking about other people's reactions. Thanks, man. Appreciate another super chat, Evan. You didn't have to drop another 10, but I do appreciate that. Yeah, and look, I'm never going to block or ban or kick somebody for having a negative opinion or disagreeing with me. Like, I'm just not. So if people come in and they're negative and they want to fire Josh Heupel, I'm going to let them have a voice just the same as everybody else, as long as they keep it civil, don't insult people, and all that stuff. Yeah, you guys still talking about the super chats. Buck, 99 cents just as important as 50. 100%. They are just as important. And that's why I want to read them, but like being able to do this. I know a lot of people want to see their super chats on the screen, so I think I'm going to put, I don't know if it's going to be $10, $20, probably 10, just to make the show flow smoother. And again, that's me being a big critic of myself for the last post-game show. Dakota's praying for the day he gets to use his wrench on somebody besides a porn bot. Maybe one day. Let's hear more from Josh Heupel. I ran off about 15 people from the chat talking about inside baseball. Let's talk some football.
Josh, were you pleased with your tempo? Pat Narduzzi said on a radio show last night that about 71% of the time you guys were snapping it within 14 seconds. Is that kind of where you want to be?
When we're able to play with tempo, we want to play with tempo. I thought the other night we were pretty efficient in handling that. And we had no pre-snap penalties. We were in the right alignment for the most part. I thought guys were able to communicate and get lined up in a really good way for the new guys that came into our program. You know, if you look at it a year ago for the new guys, which was everybody in game one versus this past week, for the new guys that are in our program, drastically different in the way they were able to handle it.
Coach, with Josh Josephs, it looked like he got in the game pretty early the other night. What did you see from him? And I guess what does it say about him that he got here in June and he's already contributing early?
Yeah, fast, long, and explosive on the edge. And, I thought he did a really nice job in the reps that he got. That's fitting the run and doing a really good job with it, and also trying to apply some pressure to the quarterback. He's a young guy that's going to continue to grow inside of what we're doing. Expect him to have a big role throughout the course of the year.
Just two things. I think one, you guys rotated at safety probably the least of any of your other defensive positions. Was that just to prevent them from throwing it over your head, or are you still trying to build depth at that spot there in terms of confidence putting guys there? And then secondly, with that, how difficult is defending the middle of the field in college football right now?
Difficult to defend depending on the structure of what you're playing and, managing your scheme against what you're seeing during the course of a football game. Those two guys are probably some of the more mature guys inside of our program. You talk about the two starting safeties, and so we will rotate at those positions, but it won't be 50-50, and they'll see a bulk of the work.
Thank you, Coach.
Talking about not rotating the safeties, and again, that goes back to him talking about veteran guys he can trust. I think that's why we're seeing Warren Burrell continue to be out there at corner. It's just somebody that Josh Heupel trusts. But I'm excited about Saturday. I feel confident about this Pitt game. You guys, whether you're watching on the replay, whether you are in the chat, come leave a comment after we go off air. I want to see your predictions. Where are you guys at with this Tennessee Pitt game? You feel more confident, less confident after watching them take on West Virginia? I'm right where I was at in the offseason. I like Tennessee by 2 scores, whether that's 10 points, 14 points, whatever the case may be. I like Tennessee in this game. Leah, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you hanging out. Thank you to everybody that hung out for this morning stream. Like I said, trying to balance full-time job, family life, YouTube life, but I want to bring you guys as much content as possible, and you guys seem to enjoy these morning streams, so we'll do another one next week, next Monday morning at 9 a.m. as well. Join us. We'll talk about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't forget to join us tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, late night Talkin VAWLS. Late night Talkin VAWLS tonight at 9 p.m. I'm going to let you guys come on. Fan call-in show. You guys come on and talk a little Tennessee Pitt action. Should be a good time. And then again tomorrow, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. JP is going to be jumping on the show with me. Going to be a lot of fun breaking down this Pitt game, hearing what JP had to say or has to say about the Tennessee Ball State game as well. But if you haven't done so, you guys know the deal. Smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. I would greatly appreciate it. Hope to see you in the chat tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. But that's going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
That we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and I'm alive.